Hi everyone. Thank you very much for joining our presentation today on the Canadian classroom and library services. Two main items that you should really be well informed about because it really helps you with your academic success and adjusting to Canadian learning style. I have with me today Kathleen Oki. She's a liaison librarian at Sheridan College, and I have Danielle Palumpi, who's a manager learning center. Danielle, if you can take it from here for the start of our presentation.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Danielle. I manage the learning centers for Sheridan, and I work in collaboration with library service people. I'm going to just start by telling you what a typical Canadian classroom might be like for you, just in a short synopsis, and then I'll move on to the agenda. So, to begin, I'm going to answer what's a Canadian classroom like. For some of you, it's not going to be really any different. You're still going to have a regular classroom, and you may find no difference in your work. But for some of you, you may find it entirely different, and you may have to hit the ground running because all the experiences are new, and maybe the way the teachers interact with students or the way students interact with students is different for you. So one thing that I find a lot of students who are coming from outside of Canada, coming to learn at Sheridan, they think it's interesting how much the professor wants you to engage with them. They want you to talk. They want you to share your ideas. They want you to argue your ideas. They want you to have your own ideas. So this sort of attitude or behavior makes them very easygoing. They're casual. They may show up in jeans. They may, just be informal. They may ask you to call them by their first name. So it's a very easygoing, sort of relaxed situation with professors. And like I said, they expect you to answer questions, and they want you to debate issues, and most importantly, they want you to be active in your learning, which means don't wait on them to learn something. Be active. Show up with your textbook already read. Show up with your notes. Show up with questions based on your notes. And most importantly, they want you to use some of the academic tools available to you at Sheridan, which mainly is the services we provide through library and learning services. So I'll move on to the agenda, which is just slide 2. And I'll just briefly let you know what we're going to talk about. You already saw the one-slide strategies for success. It's just some key points that we thought might be useful for you while you're when you're over here and you get started on your work. And then we're going to talk about library and learning services. So we'll start by talking about how do you get your research done, how do you formulate your papers, and then we're going to talk to you about academic integrity or academic honesty. Sometimes known as cheating, but that word here, integrity, academic integrity, and the word plagiarism are two key words you're going to want to take from this presentation and follow up on your own. So the words are plagiarism and the words are academic integrity. To begin, we're going to take a look at some strategies for success. So Kathleen and I sat down together and we said, what are some things that we notice when students are doing well, this is what they're doing. Students who do well attend classes regularly. Regularly means generally you're there in your classes. You may get sick one day, you may be late another day, but generally you're there and you're there on time and you're there each week for your classes that you pay for. In addition, you participate in group learning activities. A lot of your teachers are going to want you to work together. They're going to want you to collaborate. They're going to want you to share ideas, build ideas, and again, that phrase comes back, to be active in your learning. So you're expected to use your own thoughts and your own experiences to participate in group learning activities and to share your own ideas. That connects really well to thinking creatively, so you want to make sure that your problem-solving skills are being utilized in problems that you're asked to solve in classes, and you think beyond the box. So a good way to understand creative thinking is, if someone asks you a question, write down your answers to that question, and for the first minute, whatever answers you wrote, throw that away. Because the real creative ideas are going to come after that first minute. So it's not your it's not the first answer, it's not the easy answer. Creative thinking asks you to push yourself a little farther and to challenge yourself in your ideas and to be unique in your ideas. Next, we want you to make sure that you're setting some time aside each day for out-of-class learning. Going to school requires doing homework. Going to school requires you to do your readings. Going to school requires you to meet with students who are in your group for group activities. So make sure you have time each day. A lot of students here do balance part-time jobs, and it works, but they also make sure that there's time each day for out-of-class learning. In addition, you want to make sure you read your materials before class. That's a big way to make sure that you are active in your learning and to make sure that you are present in your learning when you go to class. If you haven't read the material, you're not going to be able to participate in conversation. And sometimes the first 30 minutes, even hour of a class is just talking about the material that you were expected to read before you got there. So you want to make sure you read your material before you come to class. The next thing is my special area. It's reviewing your assignments with a tutor. So if you are new here and you just get your first assignment, come to the Learning Center. They're at every single campus, and book an appointment with a tutor and review what you're asked to do. Ask questions, learn about what you're supposed to do. You can do your outline for assignments, you can plan for them, you can discuss, you can share your ideas. And once you get your assignment written or completed, you can also review it with a tutor before you hand it in. Sometimes that makes all the difference between a B to an A grade or from a C to a B. It can make a real difference depending on how you understood the assignment. And it doesn't hurt, and it's free, and your teachers love when you use tutoring because sometimes it takes care of the minor issues that you can quickly learn and understand and then put behind you, and then you can tackle the real parts of the work. Finally, get to know your professors. You want to know their names. I always think it's strange if a student doesn't know their teacher's name. You should know your teacher's name. You're paying them lots of money. You want to know them. So make sure you get to know them and get to know what it is they require in assignments, what sort of expectations they have, how flexible they are in if you need an extension, how flexible are they? Do they have a general rule? When I was a teacher, I used to say, if you want an extension, you can't ask me for an extension past 2 days before the assignment is due. If you need an extension, it's because you're really taking the time and planning and organizing your assignment, but you know what, something came up, maybe work, maybe a personal issue, and you're gonna need more time. Don't ask for extensions the night the assignment is due, because that just shows poor planning. And finally, you want to make sure you utilize our student services. So in that slide, there's a link to student services. That's a link to our website that lists everything that we offer. So we have the gym, we have athletics, we have counseling, we have advisement. There's a whole slew of services that are available to you, and your fees pay for them. So you want to make sure you use the ones that you can use, that make sense for you.
All right, thank you very much, Danielle. I'd like to start out by asking Kathleen, as a library liaison, why do you think library and learning services are central to academic success?
Well, the library really offers expertise in finding and using the best available resources to support your learning. And as Danielle just mentioned, a lot of the learning that you're going to do takes place outside of class, and you'll be expected to do additional readings, to really take control of your learning and choose what it is that you want to learn about. So it gives you lots of flexibility. But the challenge can be in finding that information and the key information that's really going to help you in your studies. And so you can use Google to a certain extent, and there is lots of information that's available there. But a lot of our students find that the information tends to be more geared to public interests. And so the technical information that you need for academic studies can be a little bit more challenging to find. And that's where library services come in. Not only can we help you find that information, whether it's through Google or another online service such as that, but also through our own library resources, where we fill the gaps of what you can find on the internet. And so in addition, the library is more than just resources. We offer research skills training to help you improve that and make it more efficient. We offer study space and lots of other services such as that. So when it comes down to it, the library really becomes a hub of academic activity. It tends to be one of the busiest places on campus because of what we are able to offer through our space and through our services as well.
How would you describe your collection of library resources?
Well, the traditional library, you would see lots of stacks of books, and in the images you see on the slide there, you'll see that there's actually a lot more computer space and study space that's available to our students. We do still have books on a shelf, but increasingly our resources are available online, which gives you an advantage in that you can access our resources anytime, anywhere, any place. Not only do we have books that are in print and online, but we have videos. For example, you can learn how to use Microsoft products and other specialized products that you'll be using in your classes. You get with excellent trainers online. You can also find language learning materials online. And in addition, language learning software. So you might be familiar with some of the English language learning software that's already available out there, like Rosetta Stone. We have a very similar one called Mango, and it's available to you for free of charge, which offers some really great language training. And in addition to videos, we also have journals and magazines, which are key resources when you're doing academic research as well. And those are available both in print, as in on our library shelves, and then they're also available online.
I can imagine there's thousands and thousands of materials in the library. So how easy is it to find and borrow materials?
Well, I think it's fairly simple.
It is simple.
It is simple, but for students coming from another country, it might be a little bit unfamiliar to them. And so library staff are always available to help. Once you've been shown once, twice maybe, I'm sure you'll get the hang of it really quickly. In addition, because a lot of our materials are online, there is no checking out or borrowing required. It's access as you need it. And you just have to go to the website. Finding it can be simple through our online search engine, which is on our webpage, and that accesses all of or most of our online content, as well as our information that we have in print, whether that's books or journals or magazines.
What's the name of that search tool?
It's called Summon. And it's a kind of our one-stop access, very kind of Google-esque, but related to library resources rather than freely available things that are out there. So for borrowing, for things that are on our shelves, you can borrow books, videos, etc. for 2 weeks at a time. You can go to any of our 3 libraries across the campuses, 3 campuses. And you can actually borrow from any campus. So let's say you're at the Davis campus, but you're interested in getting a book that's only housed at the Trafalgar Library. You're able to request that comes to your library, so you don't even have to travel to the other libraries to borrow those really key items that might be at different campuses. And then, like I said, if you ever do have trouble finding information or finding what you're looking for, and you can always come and ask us. And we'll be able to find resources that are not just in our collections, but also things that are on Google that you might not have been able to locate doing a simple Google search. And we can talk to you about how to improve your search strategies. A lot of students will come to us maybe the day before, and they'll say, "Oh, I have to find 10 resources for my assignment, and my assignment's due tomorrow." And so finding that kind of information on their own can be challenging in that quick of a time. But we can show you some strategies that will help you improve that and make your research a little bit more efficient as well. So if you do find that you're ever struggling, then be sure to come and ask us.
Cool. What about textbooks for the classroom? Let's say the student can't buy the textbook, are they available at the library?
We do have some textbooks that are available for some of the classes, but we don't have all of them. And also, they can't leave the library. So for some classes, it's going to be really key that you purchase your own copy of the textbook, because you might be able to use them in exams, and you won't be able to use our copies in exams. In addition, you might want to be able to read from home and that kind of thing, and when they're only available at the library, it can be a little bit restricting. And those are restrictions that are placed on us by the publishers as well, so it's not us trying to be mean or anything like that, but we are bound by our licenses that we have with them. So they're there for quick reference, and they can be handy, but it's always recommended that you have your own copy of the textbook if possible.
And what would be an average that students look to spend on textbooks for a year?
Generally around 500 to even up to 1,500, depending on what your courses are. Textbooks can be very pricey, and so make sure that you set aside some of those, some money specifically for that in your planning to come when you come over here.
And there is the option, you can buy your textbooks and you can sell your textbooks back to the bookstore at the end of the semester, so that if maybe you don't find you need that textbook for the rest of your academic career, you can have a chance to recuperate some of that money by selling your book back.
And increasingly, textbooks are offered for rent,
yes,
which allows you to use them at a much lower cost. And then at the end of the course, then you can return them back to the lender.
What about technology? What technology is available to help students?
So the Library and Learning Commons offers a full suite of technologies. We have PC computers. We also have Mac computers for special programs. And yeah, we can stay on that slide. And we also have photocopiers and printers. We have group study rooms that you can use, and each group study room is equipped with an LCD player or LCD screen, which allows you to practice presentations that you might be having for your classrooms ahead of time. And it also allows you a space for you to, some privacy for your groups to meet and collaborate on your assignments.
Is it easy to rent the spaces, or does it get overly...
For the group study rooms?
Yes.
You should definitely plan to book a group study room 3 or 4 days in advance at least. If you can think even further ahead, plan a little further ahead, that's even better, because they do tend to fill up quickly. And our group study rooms are well used. We have 14 to 20, I think, at each campus. So there's quite a few of them, but they do tend to fill up very quickly. So make sure you plan to book them in advance if possible.
And are they limited to a certain number of hours to book the room?
As long as the space is open, then the group study rooms are open. And that information will be available on our website, and as well as on the booking form as well.
We have a question from Vineet, and Vineet asks, are ebook versions of the required textbooks usually available for purchase?
It depends on the course, and I would say that the majority are still in print at this point. But I do foresee over the next few years that we'll have a growing number of ebook options available to you. But currently, most of them are still available in print.
Yeah, and it always depends on your program too. Some programs are more online, or they have they make their own sort of textbook with all the professors contributing materials. But it really depends on the program. It really depends on the course. So Kathleen's right. A lot of them are still print. So plan to buy your textbooks or to rent your textbooks, and don't plan to photocopy, because there's Canadian copyright laws that really sort of limit your amount of photocopying you can do of a textbook. You can't just sit there and photocopy a whole book. It's not allowed. It's actually against the law in Canada. So don't plan that route either. Just budget for your textbooks and you'll do all right.
And I would add to that it's an investment to come and study here. I know it's a huge investment, and why sacrifice that investment because of $500, the cost of textbooks, that would be $500 compared to the thousands of dollars you're paying for your tuition fees. So Go ahead.
Just a couple more points about the technology that's available as well. From the pictures you can see there's tables that are set up in the spaces, in our library spaces, and they are fully equipped with lots of laptop plugins as well. So we really do encourage you to bring your own laptops and make use of them. In fact, some of the courses are completely laptop integrated. So if you have laptops and you're wanting to make use of them in our space, there's lots of outlets for that. And in addition, assistive technology is available. So if you require any additional support in reading online materials and that kind of thing, assistive technology is available. So for anyone, if there's vision impairment or any other types of challenges, then you can use some of our technology is available.
Yeah. And dear students, there's a question box. I encourage you to type your questions and we will answer it as we go through the presentation. So Danielle, I'd like to ask you about the tutoring services. Are they free?
Tutoring at Sheridan is free half the time, and then the other half of the time it's not. It really depends what you need for tutoring. So what we do offer for free is free math tutoring, free accounting tutoring, free statistics tutoring, free finance tutoring, free Java tutoring or computer programming, depending on the tutors we have available that semester. They tend to know more, especially C and some of the other programming languages, and free English tutoring. So if that's what you're looking for, and that's what covers a lot of material for students, then that's completely free. Every single student gets an hour and a half of tutoring per subject. So all those subjects I listed, you get an hour and a half of that subject free for tutoring a week. So you can have an hour and a half every week. You can book one 1-hour appointment and then a half an hour follow-up appointment in the same week, or you can have 3 30-minute appointments. It's really up to you. So if you're working, you would see an English tutor to practice a presentation, to practice your English as a second language conversation skills. You can just show up and you can talk with the tutor. You can talk with the tutor one-on-one, or you can talk with them in a group. You would see an English tutor to prepare for an assignment, to review an assignment, to edit any writing that you do or communication. You would see an English tutor for. If you want help with basic computer work, like maybe shortcuts on Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or even Excel, that's all free. So they can help you with that. The math tutoring is really aligned to some of the Faculty of Business, business math tutoring, so the accounting, the finance, the statistics. That tutor is really closely aligned with the Faculty of Business courses, so they usually can get a hold of the textbook. They're working with your teachers. They kind of know what's going on in your class, and if they don't know, you just show it to them and they'll learn it. So who our tutors are University of Waterloo and University of Guelph co-op students, so students who are fulfilling a work term placement. They come to Sheridan, they work for the semester, they may work for 2 or 3 semesters, and they work full-time. They're called staff tutors. All staff tutoring you can book online. The tutoring that's not free, that does cost money, is peer tutoring. So all of those subjects I listed, if those don't meet your requirements, then you can hire a peer tutor. A peer tutor is a Sheridan student who has an A in a class and an overall B average. They would tutor you in that class they got an A in, and that costs $40 for 10 hours of tutoring. And you work with the tutor for those 10 hours. So you, depending on the tutor's availability, you may want to book that tutor for 3 hours in 1 week, or you may see the tutor 1 hour a week for 10 weeks. Peer tutors aren't generally available during exam time because they're worrying about their own exams. And peer tutoring doesn't start until about the 3rd week or 4th week of the semester. So, but it's still available, and it essentially costs you about $4 an hour to see them. Most group tutoring so we have group tutoring in accounting and life skills drawing, again in conversation circles. We have group tutoring in a few courses or a few popular subjects. Those are also free. And finally, learning strategy workshops are free. So if you don't know what a learning strategy is, it's time management, it's stress management, studying for exams, organizing your ideas, all the tools you need to be successful in your course and functioning as a post-secondary student. Those strategies are free, and they're out of the learning centers as well.
Danielle, do teachers like it when students use tutoring?
Yes, teachers love when you use tutoring. I said earlier in the introduction, sometimes when you have to do an assignment, you may have really small errors that if someone were to explain it to you once, you'll never make the mistake again because it's just something you didn't realize. So if you happen to see a tutor to clear up all those small errors that you might be making on your first assignment, then that clears all that work for that teacher, and you can sort of, they can focus on your ideas instead. They can focus on what the assignment's actually about, instead of getting hung up on small grammatical errors maybe, or sentence structure or punctuation. You know, if you misuse a semicolon, a tutor will help you fix that. And teachers really appreciate when students take the time to see a tutor before they hand their assignments in, and also after they get their assignments back. Sometimes if you don't see a tutor beforehand, for example, and the teacher gives you your assignment back and it's full of red ink or purple ink, depending what color is friendliest, up to the teacher, you can go and see a tutor and have a tutor debrief you on what you did well and what you're struggling with. And they appreciate that because then it won't happen on the second assignment. So yes, teachers really appreciate when you use tutoring, but the one thing I'll say is if you're going to use tutoring, and a lot of students do, it's not students just struggling who are failing, it's a lot of students who are stuck at a B and want an A, or stuck at a C and they want an A or a B. If you're using tutoring services, let your teacher know. There's nothing stranger than a student who never uses tutoring the whole semester, and they're handing in, say, an orange. They hand in oranges. Every assignment, they hand in an orange, but all of a sudden, on the last assignment, you went to see a tutor and you hand in an apple. The teacher is going to be confused, and they might actually be concerned that you plagiarized or you cheated on the assignment because it doesn't reflect the work you did the entire semester. Remember, get to know your professors. It all goes back to that. If you know your professors, you'll be comfortable to let them know that you're using tutoring services, and then they'll be, instead of nervous when you hand in an assignment that's different, say, from your previous work, they'll be excited. They'll see that you're using the services and you're doing well.
You alluded to this a little bit earlier. I'm assuming that it's not just students who are struggling academically who use tutoring. Like, what type of students typically go for tutoring?
Okay, everyone uses tutoring for some reason. A lot of students use tutoring, so there's no one type of student who uses tutoring. I wrote some notes here, some examples of students who use tutoring. So the one student is that student who's struggling to pass. They're just really having a hard time doing well in the course, maybe grasping some of the concepts, or maybe some of the formulas or the writing aspects. So those types of students use tutoring. But there's also the students who generally want a better grade. Maybe they're stuck at a B, and if you get an A in the course, or if you get an A in all your courses, there's some grant or bursary opportunities for you. So a lot of students who want to get bursaries or grants or funding, if they get good marks, they come to tutoring because they're straight A students and they want to stay straight A students. It's also students who want to prepare for a test. It's students who want to review their assignments after they've been marked. It's students who want extracurricular work to practice on. Sometimes, say you're in a computer science course and it's the first course, you may know the fundamentals, you already may know that, and to stay engaged in the material and to stay engaged in your program, students come to the Learning Center and they may do extracurricular work. So the Java tutors provide games that you can build. We have one called Gamoku here, and if you build the game successfully, then you can apply for a status on something called a co-curricular record, which is a record of extracurricular activities that sort of diversify your resume and that sort of thing. So extracurricular work through the Learning Center is pretty popular these days because you can add the material, the work to your co-curricular record. And finally, students who want to review their material before a course begins. So maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, you just received 5 or even 7 syllabuses for courses and you have a stack of textbooks. Maybe you want to sit down with a tutor or a learning strategist and sort of go through what all this material is and what this means and what your expectations are. You can see a tutor to use a calendar to map out what you have to do each week for the next semester if you want. You can use them for any sort of support like in that regard.
You mentioned earlier the difference of free tutoring and paid peer tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
What are the types of tutoring available in general?
Okay, so the free tutoring, or staff tutoring, group tutoring, and learning strategies. Those are all free, and those are really popularly used on campus. You can book those, you can make appointments to see a staff tutor or a group tutor or a learning strategist. You can make appointments online or drop in. The only one that isn't free is peer tutoring, and that's the one that costs $40 for 10 hours of tutoring. But those are all the types of tutoring that we have at Sheridan.
And how do students sign up for tutoring?
Okay, this is a good one. If you want to access tutoring services, you can take a minute to write this down. Can we message them this? Can we write this to them? I don't know.
No, we cannot.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know the link, but you can always go to the Learning Center website for the address as well. The website to book a tutoring appointment and to register as someone who may use tutoring in the future is www.sheridan.mywconline.com. So that website is our online booking system. When you go, you register with your Sheridan email and your Sheridan password. No other email will work. Don't use happygirl@hotmail.com. It's not going to work. You have to use your Sheridan email and your Sheridan address. So just one more time, it's www.sheridan.mywconline.com. And if you can't find that or you can't hear me very well, if you go to Sheridan's website, into the library website, you can click on a link that goes to the Learning Center, or you can get it through our services link on our website.
So now students have been able to use the library, book rooms, get tutoring. Despite all of those services available, why do students hear this topic a lot, academic integrity, especially when professors are talking about assignments? Why is academic integrity important? Danielle?
Okay, that's a big question. So you will hear a lot about academic integrity. Our boss, who's the director of Learning Services, Library and Learning Services, just returned from a trip to India where she met roughly 200 international students who are coming here. And the number of people who knew what academic integrity is or plagiarism was off the top of their head in the whole room out of 200 people was 1. So this isn't, but here at Sheridan, we use that word all the time. All of your professors use the word. It's on every single syllabus or a course outline that you get, that word's going to be there. And plagiarism is another word that gets used a lot. So academic integrity, as in being honest, is important in assignments because, well, for 2 reasons. One, there's very real and very immediate repercussions to your college career if you plagiarize or cheat, in other words, on your assignments. If you plagiarize or cheat, you can fail an assignment, you can fail a course, you can fail your attempt at graduating from Sheridan even, depending on how badly it was that you cheated or plagiarized. If you make that mistake, if you cheat, maybe you ran out of time, maybe you were stressed, maybe you didn't understand the assignment. That's why we're here, so that never happens. But if you end up cheating or if you plagiarize, depending on how problematic it is or how big of an assignment it was, you may fail the course or you may get put on academic probation. And if you are dishonest in your work, that can leave a mark on your permanent transcript with Sheridan College. So you want to make sure that you understand what academic integrity is. You want to understand the word plagiarism, and then you want to avoid plagiarism, and you want to make sure you maintain academic integrity. It's also serious to us, though, because we're interested in developing your professional behaviors and skills. When you go to the workplace, if you cheat, you don't fail an assignment, your boss may fire you. So it's important that you develop these behaviors, these professional behaviors and skills. To cheat is bad business, and it reflects poorly on Sheridan College and your ability to create, develop, and express yourself truthfully in your work. So again, it goes back to being creative. It goes back to preparing in advance. It goes back to using our services so that you do well.
So actually, on that note, Kathleen, I want to ask you, what support can students find to maintain academic integrity?
There's lots of ways that they can find out more about what it means and what the rules are around it, what's required of them. The Learning Center has, and there's also lots of ways to develop your skills to prevent it. So the Learning Center, for example, has reference and citation specialists that can assist you with properly referencing your work. So one of the big areas that we see incidences of a lack of academic integrity is through citing sources, or giving credit to who it is you got the information from, referencing your sources. And so the Learning Center provides a lot of key help in that area. So if you're not sure what citing and referencing means, or how to do it in a way that's in a proper way, then you can go to the Learning Center for that information. The library also has a tutorial on academic, we call it academic honesty, and it outlines all the what it means and how to avoid it, and lots of different tips and tricks for you to know about, and you can get to that through our website. We also have videos, books, and instruction through our resources as well on what it means. Access Sheridan, which is the internal portal, has a link to the academic honesty and integrity policy. So if you need to read it over just to make sure that you're clear on what is outlined there, then you can go there and find that. You can ask your teacher to have a librarian visit your classroom to teach you how to properly cite your work as well. We often go into the classes and help with citation and referencing. But most of all, we find that if you are maintaining good study habits, if you're going to class regularly, if you're owning the textbook and using it, if you're starting your assignments well in advance so that you're not rushed in the end to complete them, if you're being careful in how you take notes during your research and how you cite the information that you found, generally speaking, students do not have an issue with this. It's only when they become really rushed in doing their assignments, when they start falling behind and they haven't used tutoring services, and so they lose some confidence in completing their assignments on their own. This is when students run into any issues. So if you follow good study habits, if you follow good academic habits, then you will not have an issue with academic integrity.
I have a follow-up question on this. There are cases where students are doing a group work together, okay, and they're not clear on whether if that's considered when they're submitting the assignment. Let's say they have the same answers, but they've written it in their own words, but it's a group work. Is that considered being honest academically, or is that considered breaking the policy?
In group work is probably some of the trickiest places where there is a line.
And there's a lot of group work at Sheridan.
There's a lot of group work.
Yeah.
Especially in the Faculty of Science and Technology, and then also the business, there's a lot of group work. And so you want to make sure that you are contributing to that group work. And as long as you are contributing and everyone who has contributed has put their name on that group work, then it's generally not considered plagiarizing.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that if you do a group assignment, when you hand in your group assignment, every group member's name is on it. And not just for you, but for every group member. So you want to be an ambassador for academic integrity in your group work, and remind everyone, don't forget to put my name on it, don't forget to put her name on it and his name, because then you won't get in trouble for, or you won't get charged with stealing other people's ideas. You want to make sure that if someone's idea is on there that's not yours, everyone's name is on the assignment. And it also depends on your teacher. Your teacher, will know this is a group assignment and will know that the ideas are coming from the group. But if your teacher says, work on question 1 as a group and work on question 2 on your own, but all of you are there together and you work on question 1 and 2 together, then you kind of run into trouble. So make sure you're really clear on what the assignment is and what the instructions are for the assignment, because a lot of group work is in 2 parts. The group is the first part, or the group work's the second part, but there's usually one part that's on your own, and that's the part where you really want to make sure it is just your own and it is just your own ideas.
That's right. What about students who are not very comfortable in writing a report or an essay, and they're doing research, and they see a nice phrase that they want to use or a sentence, and they think, well, how in the world is my professor ever going to know that this is not my sentence? And it's plugged in, and they're caught. What would you say to that student?
Finding plagiarism, cutting and pasting is really easy to detect anymore. And so avoid it. If you are using someone else's words, give them credit for that. And make sure you've made it very clear within your assignment what is your own words, what's your own thinking and your own analysis, and what is someone else's.
Okay. Now, going back to the tutoring, right? You said the peer tutoring starts after the fourth week of classes.
Yeah.
But the staff tutoring can start from...
Staff tutoring starts day one. So on your first day of school, it's the first day of school for our staff tutors from Waterloo and Guelph. And actually some of our staff tutors are Sheridan graduates too, especially from the computer programming area. So they're here on the first day. They're ready to welcome you, and you'll actually meet quite a few of them in your classes, depending on what classes you're enrolled in and what program. Because a lot of the staff tutors that you see in the Learning Center are part of your classes. They teach the tutorial section, for example, of your course. They may. Or they're going to be sitting in your class when you're there, modeling good student behavior, taking notes, just being aware of what you're learning. So you'll see them in the center, but chances are if you're in math or if you're in Java, or actually even in some of our Faculty of Business office administration program, a tutor is going to be embedded in your program as well, so you're going to know them in that regard. And the other thing, the one thing I forgot to mention is, starting in week 6 of the semester, we offer online tutoring too. So you may go to for English only, but you may go to the Learning Center, get help from an English tutor to get your assignment going, or to review or edit your assignment. You'll go home and make the corrections. Maybe you want someone to look at it just one more time. That's when you can use online tutoring to submit your work. Or if you can't make it in, the online tutoring is offered 7 days a week, even on the weekends. So if you want to get someone to review your work on a weekend, then you can do that. You can hand in your assignment to the online booking system, the WC online website I told you about, and the tutor will open it. They'll send you a note saying I received it, and they will give you feedback on your assignment before you have to hand it in. So I forgot about that, but that's another important service that's free that is offered by the same staff tutors you'll see in the center.
If you can give that URL again, that would be great.
Sure. It's www.sheridan.mywconline.com. And you have to register with your Sheridan email and your Sheridan password.
Do you participants, do you have any questions for Kathleen or Danielle or myself at this moment? Do you feel that you are clear on all the information presented to you? I encourage you to ask the questions. It's question time. And if anything else that you can think of to add.
They can go to the library chat feature if they think something.
That's true. On our library homepage, we have a chat box that you can interact with someone from the library. So if you have questions about any of the services that we're offering,
anything we talked about today,
then you can type in your question in the chat search box, and staff from the library will be happy to answer your questions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need to learn more about library services or any Sheridan services offered to students, just go to our website, www.sheridancollege.ca, and just familiarize yourself before you arrive here. We found that students who attend orientation and pre-departure orientation such as this tend to do much, much better than students who don't, only because they know, they kind of have an idea of where they need to go to get help. We don't want you to come around midterm exam and say, I'm failing this subject, when you could have gone and gotten help much sooner. You're a smart, capable individual. If you've been admitted to the college, that means you qualify academically, but there's a lot to learn. You're coming to a new environment on top of it. You're thinking about a lot of different things. And so that first semester is really, a hard semester to cope. And so that's why we offer you all the help that we can offer you. And at this point, I would like to say thank you for joining our presentation, and we look forward to welcoming you on campus when you arrive.
Yes, see you soon. Thank you.
Bye, guys.